Right in the
room. We gotta set tears aside. Talk some NBA. Paul George putting up 24 to help the Clips beat the Blazers last night. Win their 5th in a row, but he just missed out on the medal. Nick, you got a busy morning. Which 3 players did it best last night?
Wilds, parlay that Belichick-Brady Super Bowl bet with your Orlando Magic to make the playoffs bets. They got the same chances. Bronze medal, Tyrese Maxey. Now, it comes in a loss, but shout out to the Sixers. No Ben Simmons. Yesterday, no Joel Embiid. And through 3 quarters, they're right there with Milwaukee. Why? Because Tyrese Maxey goes off for 31, 5, and 4. My guy Daryl might just know what he's doing there. Silver medal, Donovan Mitchell. Oh, Jazz fans, I know what you're thinking. You never talk about us, and we won't ever talk about you again. But Donovan's really good. 27 and 5 for the regular season Jazz. Good win. And what's happening to the Hawks? Ice Trey. Team's ice cold. Have you lost 4 in a row? Get it together, Atlanta. And gold medal, Giannis. Light work, 31, 16, and 4 for the defending league MVP. A Bucks team that has not been overwhelming. Maybe a little bit of the, championship hangover a bit. They went to the White House. They played a sleepy game against Philly. But then in the 4th quarter, they took over. Giannis, you're going to pop a vein, buddy. Chill out. There it is. There, Jenna, is the podium from last night in the NBA. Tyrese Maxey with his maiden podium appearance. Good for him.
Wow. It's a very nice looking podium. Nice tears, nice podium. Great set. But first, Nick, you're talking some Jokic-Morris family feud.
Yeah, once upon a time when I was a kid, I saw on David Letterman a guy juggling glass bottles, broken glass bottles, and I tried it. And it was very funny at first, and then it turned predictably into disaster, ended up in the hospital. This reminds me of that. Starts off delightful, and then what do you do? What happened? So Nikola Jokic and Markieff Morris get into this. Jokic famously has very large, somewhat intimidating brothers. They signed up for Twitter just to talk to the Morris twins. You can read that all for yourself, but what it was yesterday, incredibly funny on NBA Twitter. Can you believe it? They signed up for Twitter just for this. But then there's that line from them, "We'll be waiting for you." And then the line from the Morris twins, one of them saying, "Okay, we'll be ready." And then there's the report that the Jokic brothers have bought tickets for the next Nuggets Heat game. I hate to be old man Kevin Wilds with my concerned voice, but here's where I'll say the NBA needs to maybe step in. Because this can go from funny, quirky, to an, I say, international incident like that. So I'm not one for the adults in the room to come in and say, "Calm down, young fellas." But we might need Stan Kroenke with the Nuggets, Mickey Arison with the Heat, Adam Silver to quietly call these guys individually and say, "Hey, this can only end terribly." So I hate to be the fun police, but Jenna, I am a little concerned this could end not very fun, and maybe someone needs to step in before this gets a little uglier than anyone would like it to be.
Just to recap, it's all fun and games till someone loses an eye. So there's a lovely security guard, guys, who works at my kid's school, and we're going to call him Alvin. And on the first day of school, Alvin pulled me aside, this is no joke, and he says, "You tell Nick the Warriors are the team to beat this year." And I said, "But the Lakers play in the NBA, and Nick, LeBron, and Lakers, you watch our show. I'm not sure he's going to take well to that." He said, "All right, wait a few weeks, and then when I'm right, you go back and you tell him." I said, "Okay." So, Nick, here you go. The Warriors at 9-1, best record in the NBA. First in points, first in defense, first in threes, first in assists, first in Alvin's heart. Now that I'm saying this out loud to you, and now that I feel like the tension between us, I wonder if when he said, "Tell Nick," that was like a rhetorical tell Nick, like, "Haha, tell Nick the Warriors are the best," and not actually saying it on national television. That was my bad. So you know what? No, forget I said anything. I'm sure the Lakers at 6-5 in 8th place out west with LeBron out indefinitely are going to be just fine. You stick with the Lakers. Forget what Alvin said. Just forget everything Alvin said. I'm sorry I said anything. What?
Just ask Alvin. Ask Alvin if he can point Chris Mullin out of a lineup, or if he's like every Warriors fan I know front running the last 5 years. Enough of Alvin. I've heard enough.
Twan Walker. Twan, we're talking about your hometown team, the Chicago Bulls. Scottie Pippen has been promoting his recent book, and he's been taking some shots at Michael Jordan in the process. The latest surrounding the flu game and how Pippen doesn't get enough credit for playing hurt himself in the '98 finals. Take a listen.
I definitely was not able to play a Game 7.
And you know the way it works with us in the media. When Michael Jordan would get sick in a playoff game, we make it seem like he came from his hospital bed with IV stuck in his arm. And
it's in the book.
And he has these great accomplishments. But for you, that is pretty remarkable what you did. Again, I'm not saying you're doing it for people to give you credit, but do you feel that not enough was made of that moment? Because there you were playing hurt in a deciding game against a great Utah Jazz team.
Here's my breakdown on that. I'm going to ask you this.
All right.
Is it easier to play with a herniated disc or to play with the flu?
They always say the worst injury to have is a bad back. So,
well, I don't see many bad back games, but I do see flu games. Flu. Come on.
That's a great answer.
All right, Antoine, that does remind me I do have to get my flu shot. That's not important now. The question that is important, does Scottie Pippen get enough credit?
Well, this is always tough for me, Jenna, to be honest with you. Both of these guys are at one point in my life where I consider friends of mine. I got a great fortune, I tell people this, to be around Michael from 2001 to probably 2007, maybe going 2008, where he came back and got an opportunity to know him on a very personal level. Scottie Pippen is my friend now, and I consider him a friend, somebody that I talk to now. So I understand where both of those guys are coming from. I do believe that, Scottie feels a certain type of way after The Last Dance, and we all enjoyed that over the pandemic. And Scottie was working on a few projects, and the book came up, and, he feels a certain type of way. He wants a certain type of level of respect for Michael. He wants a certain type of level of respect from people to understand that Michael wasn't the only one to win those 6 titles. And I think he's upset about that, and that's what comes out in this book. But the flu game, I was in the league at the time, so it's always tough for me to make those type of calls because I was a fan as well as being a professional athlete competing against those teams. So it always put me in a tough spot, and I know these gentlemen very well. But I think if you look at this whole story, Michael's never really given Scottie his just due in so many different ways, and Scottie's looking for that. And he's at a breaking point where he wants to come out because he was kind of painted in a bad light in that Last Dance because everybody was glued to the TVs and with everything, and Michael didn't really defend him. So Scottie's on the comeback, but this is always tough. 2 guys I admire very much so, have a high level of respect for, and it's unfortunate that it's coming out in a book and they didn't handle this privately because this is the best duo to ever play the game of basketball.
Well, so I don't think it's unfortunate it's coming out in the book. I think that's part of the marketing plan for the book. And I'll give my own disclosure, just like Antoine did. My wife produced The Last Dance, and I worked with Scottie and on The Jump at ESPN. We hired Scottie. So I've got my feet on both sides of the fence as well. But I'll start this with a story. Here's the issue, because I think a lot of people, if we were in Scottie Pippen's shoes, would feel the same way that he does. So suppose you're in your neighborhood, and your neighbor's house is better than your house. It's got a bigger yard, it's got a nicer kitchen, it's got one more bathroom, it's got a nicer living room. It's better in every way. But when people come to appraise your house and your neighbor's house is worth 20x what your house is. I think you have the right to raise your hand and be like, look, I understand it's better. But first of all, that house is better because I'm there, because I'm like a nice little house. Second of all, it's not 20 times worth better than mine. Michael Jordan's career earnings, or not career earnings, net worth is estimated to be $2 billion. Scottie Pippen made $100 million. It's $100 million, a lot of money, Nick. It's not $2 billion.